Okay, so a lot of the lore videos I've been putting out are about Traitor Primarchs, and my camera is out of focus again. Let me turn that on, maybe that'll help a little bit. No, that's actually... Okay. Okay. Chill. Chill? We good? Alright. Alright, so I've been doing a lot, talking about, like, Magnus, Perturabo, Angron, fucking Lorgar. But, I think it'd be good to hear how each Traitor Primarch actually fell to chaos, and I think it's time to hear it from the Australian. Here we go.
G'day guys and gal. We all have bad days. Sometimes your wife leaves you on your birthday, sometimes you stub your toe so hard that it breaks the bone, and sometimes you shit blood. These are just things that tend to happen to us, and it definitely puts us in a bit of a subpar mood. The Primarchs are supposed to be supremely intelligent with outstanding willpower, so it really shows the power of having a terrible day when one or two really bad ones can make demigods willing to give away their souls to the forces of hell. To be fair, if a demon god told me to join them and I'd never shit blood again, I'd probably think about it as well. Keeping in trend with some Primarch videos I've done lately, because Primarch videos get a ton of views, we'll be looking at the reason or reasons why each Traitor Primarch gave the Big E the middle finger and then they went off to party with chaos. Some falls were really stupid, some falls were kind of justified, but still kind of stupid, and some arguably never fell at all. Let's get into it. Pretty much all of the Traitor Primarchs had petty or just straight up ridiculous motivations to do what they did.
Not really.
But in saying that, it is important to note that it was a long process to go from, hey, the Big E is a bit of a dick, I think Horus might be better than the Emperor, to becoming a smelly Mothman. There were a number of other factors, such as the creation of the High Lords of Terror, as well as Space Marines seemingly being pushed aside, that gave a lot of the Primarchs a sense of unease, like they were soon to be made redundant. On top of this, Horus's Primarch power is his insane levels of charisma and making people do what he wants. Just thought I'd quickly mention that, so people like Mortarion only seem semi-retarded instead of going full retard. Going in chronological order of Legion number, we have Fulgrim, the Phoenix person. The guy that had the second dumbest fall out of all of them.
Accurate.
Fulgrim was mega loyal. Like, the man pissed his pants and cried when he met the Emperor, and his sons were literally called the Emperor's children.
Accurate.
He was an easygoing, proud dude that didn't take life too seriously. However, this all changed when Fulgrim picked up a suspiciously phallic-shaped sword that had a demon of Slaanesh chilling in it. Over time, the sword changed his mood, personality, and perception. His pride went into overdrive, and he lost his banter and fun nature. There was a part of him that knew the sword was bad, and that he should stop using it, but he didn't, because he just loves cock too much. Fucking loves it. By the time Horus was a boldy, hence a traitor, it didn't take much to turn Fulgrim to his side, since the demon was able to manipulate pretty much all of Fulgrim's decisions. Without the demon, Fulgrim would have never have even considered going traitor. Like, the small part of him that wasn't corrupted yet nearly ordered his fleet to blow up Horus, and that small part of him stopped himself from killing Ferris when he knocked Ferris out as he was trying to turn Ferris to the traitor's side.
Yeah, literally, the demon sword had such sway over Fulgrim that Fulgrim was literally about to blow Horus's entire fleet to hell. And then he just didn't anymore. He got handed the sword by his first captain, and then he just didn't want to anymore. And he never saw a problem with this.
The last straw for Fulgrim's turn to chaos was the moment he killed Ferris. He didn't want to, but his willpower and mental fortitude had been drained so much that the demon was able to control his arms and make him deliver the killing blow. At that moment, Fulgrim's despair was so great and his regret was so overwhelming that the demon took full control of his body. Now that would have been an interesting character.
Yes.
A possessed Fulgrim in charge with the loyalist, regretful Fulgrim inside him.
But wait, it gets stupid.
Trying to retake control while subtly manipulating the demon like the demon did to him. Instead, we got a Fulgrim who was quickly able and easily retake control of his body and then be like, you know what? While I was possessed, I was able to reflect on my life and my decisions. I know I regretted everything when I killed Ferris, but I'm a changed man. Drugs and rape are hectic, whoop whoop. I think whoever was in charge of Fulgrim's character development arc is missing a few chromosomes.
It literally was such a perfect ending to the story. The fall of Fulgrim was due to his own pride. That's what happened to Fulgrim. He couldn't imagine that somebody like him could be influenced by literally damn near anything. So when the changes happened, he just never questioned it. He never questioned it the ways other Primarchs like Perturabo would have, like Conrad Curse would. If Conrad Curse had found the Lair Sword, he would have instantly figured something was wrong. Not Fulgrim. But they screwed up the character arc so badly when... if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to hear about it in about 15 seconds.
The creation of the perfect loyalist Fulgrim clone was really exciting, especially since the clone had the same memories as the original Fulgrim, but without the penis sword. Hence he was uncorrupted, meaning that the sword was the main thing that brought Fulgrim to his knees. The next traitor on this list is Perturabo, who is the solar opposite to Fulgrim. There's even a funny scene where the Iron Warriors form up to greet the Emperor's children, only to be disgusted by the children's new fucking weird armor and complete lack of formation and discipline. Perty even bashes Fulgrim's face in for being such a prissy douchebag. Unlike the other traitor Primarchs, Perty's fall and character arc was kinda justified.
Yes.
Perty was mistreated. He and his
Yes!
Legion was sent to the most grueling and vicious war zones. Siege warfare, attrition, and ruthless violence became Perty's bread and butter. The reality is that Perty wanted to create, not destroy. He was jealous of Rogal Dorn and the Emperor's love for him. As a result of this jealousy, Perty was super hard on himself and his Legion. He would cull his own sons, and when Olympia, his home planet, rose up against the Imperium, Perty was so embarrassed that he destroyed his own home planet. Perty, realizing that wasn't a good idea, freaked the fuck out. He thought that the Emperor would never forgive him, even though the Emperor's blown up like 1,000 planets and probably wouldn't give a fuck. It just goes to show how out of touch Perty was with the Big E. Horus came to Perty and was like, bro, fuck Rogal Dorn, you're a way better builder than him. Also, fuck Olympia, who cares? I'll forgive you for destroying it. And Perty was like, really? You think I'm better than Rogal Dorn? And Horus says softly, I know you are better than Rogal. Hence Perty joined the traitors. As the heresy would go on, Perty would come to regret this decision. All the other traitor Primarchs got more cooked and demonic, and it was just Perty holding them together by the end.
Pretty much.
The dude even said, fuck this, I'm out, and abandoned the Siege of Terror because he realized all of his allies were fucking useless and not worth his help. Next on this list is Space Batman, but only the bat and the justice part. Absolutely no similarities beyond that. Conrad Curse. Curse was already renegade by the time the heresy started. His lack of sanity combined with his extremely violent and disturbing methods have resulted in him being confronted by Rogal Dorn. Rogal told Curse to stop being an angsty emo bitch, which
caused Conrad Curse to beat him within an inch of his life.
Caused Curse to have an angsty emo bitch episode and nearly kill Rogal. Curse was in prison, but then he escaped. His first order of business once he escaped was to blow up his own home planet, as he was disgusted that without his influence, they had resorted back to a life of crime. Wow! Who knew that squashing crime, not through eliminating poverty, increasing education, or funding law enforcement, but through having a terrifying murderous sadist as a king, was not a sustainable way to stop people breaking the law, especially when said murderous sadist king left the planet. Now, despite all this, Conrad was not explicitly a traitor yet. He was just, on holiday, and people should just, leave him alone for a bit. Well, they probably should have expected him to go traitor, as it only took a brief phone call from Horus being like, yo, you're already fucked, and Dad wants to kill ya. May as well join me to tip him over. As a note, Conrad hated chaos, and the Night Lords remained relatively free of its influence. They're still super evil, but their situation was less about joining hell and more about having no real other options. Next up, we have the angry Angron, who was in a pretty similar boat to Curse. Angron had nails in his fucking brain, which made him quite impulsive in his decisions. Any world that Angron and his World Eaters attacked would be left an empty husk littered with corpses. It got so bad that the Emperor sent Lehman and the Space Wolves to bring Angron to Terra to chill him out for a bit. This resulted in a violent battle between the Space Wolves and the World Eaters, in which quite a few Astartes died.
True.
So yeah, Angron was deep in the shit books. When Horus came to Angron with his little offer to join his boy band, Angron was like, fuck it, why not? After all, Horus was one of the few people Angron liked, and with the promise of epic battle and slaughter, it was an offer that Angron wasn't going to refuse.
Not really. Angron always hated the Emperor. Like, he had every reason to.
Now, for Morty.
This son of a bitch did not have any reason to do what he did. None whatsoever.
The pettiest motherfucker around. The seeds of Morty's heresy was sown on the very first day he met the Emperor. See, Morty's dad was a necromancer, and he was kinda overpowered. Morty was working on killing his dad, but he wasn't ready to face him yet. In comes the Emperor, who was like, Morty, bet you can't kill your dad, you worthless piece of shit. And Morty was like, oh jeez, oh, you know what? Fuck it, I can kill him. Hence, Morty climbed up to where his necro daddy was, and lo and behold, he could not kill him. As Morty's necro daddy gloated and prepared to finish off Morty, the Big E comes in and he one-shots Morty's necro daddy and saves Morty.
Yeah.
Now Morty considers this a kill steal. I don't know what kind of games Morty been playing, but you actually have to be about to comfortably kill someone for it to be considered a kill steal.
Truth.
Morty saw himself as the hero of his own story, with his necro daddy being the final boss fight. And he blew it. He couldn't finish the final quest, and he was salty when the Big E, who was a way higher level than him, did. This shouldn't have been enough to turn him traitor though. His fall was actually very unexpected, even by Malkador and the Big E. After all, Morty hated Psykers with a passion, and the Big E outlawed Psykers, whilst Horus employed the use of warp and demons.
Now, here's where it gets stupid. I have every indication it's about to get really dumb.
Reality is that Morty was bitter, and Horus was able to charm him to his side. Horus also lied to him, like, a lot, about his vision of the galaxy and the role Psykers had to play. By the time Morty figured out that joining Horus was a really shitty idea, he was too far in. He even tried to team up with the Khan to form a new faction, but the Khan told him to eat a dick. Morty then went full hypocrite mode and embraced his Psyker powers. Then Typhus tricked Morty and the Death Guard into Nurgle's realm, where they got turbo fucked by disease.
Pretty much.
Morty had to embrace Nurgle and sell his soul in order to save himself and his sons, which he did, and voila, Smelly Mothman.
So essentially, basically what it boils down to, basically, of all the Primarchs, of all of them, the weakest one was Mortarion. Because he gave up because he was basically forced to. He gave up because somebody was hurting him. And that's the only reason he gave up.
Although it's not a huge shocker that the ugly Grim Reaper looking motherfucker would join Chaos, his motivations were fucking terrible and it makes him really unlikable. Next up is Big Red. How did Magnus fall? Well, Magnus was probably the least willing out of all the traitors, but Titstitch had a huge hard-on for Magnus very early on. When Magnus, through Warp Spaghetti, discovered Horus had gone traitor, he desperately tried to warn the Emperor, and he accidentally broke the Emperor's psychic wards and ruined everything. The Emperor sent Lehman to go get Magnus so that Magnus could help the Emperor fix his fuck-up, but also so that the Emperor could smack his red ass. Horus was able to convince Lehman to attack Magnus instead of collecting him, and Magnus got suicidal, and he let the Space Horse attack him and his sons, instead of trying to reason with them. In the battle, Lehman snapped Magnus's big old spine over his knee, Bane style. Magnus was like, wow, that fucking hurt, I changed my mind, I don't want to die. Hence embraced Titsnitch and was teleported to safety. Now getting your spine snapped at the same time as being violently teleported to hell can have a pretty adverse effect on your health. Magnus was shattered into multiple shards, each representing a different part of him. He was able to collect most of his shards, but the ones that were destroyed or kept from him were like his nice shards. The biggest among them being his noble shard, which would later be used to create Janus, Master of the Grey Knights. Hence the Magnus that was left over was a massive dickhead who was happy to join the traitors. Now we have the hoe of the Russ, the arch traitor himself.
Gotta pause it. Not really. Not really on Magnus, but okay.
Horus. Horus was having some issues leading up to his fall. he felt that the Big E had abandoned the Great Crusade without being honest with his sons.
True.
And he felt as if the control of the Imperium was being given to mortals instead of Space Marines and Primarchs. Most of all, he was losing his hair at a rapid pace, and there was no Derek around to help stop it. Despite this, he was still loyal and was being a good lad, until he got fucking shanked by a Chaos Knife.
Yep.
Yeah, not good. The Chaos Knife was able to severely wound Horus, and it fed on his doubt and wavering loyalty. He soon entered into a comatose state, and shit looked bad. His sons panicked, and they allowed a snake cult of witches to take care of Horus, which was, you know, probably a bad call,
Erebus.
especially when that cult turned out to be a chaos cult. In this coma, Erebus entered Horus's mind, and he showed him visions, and he lied about the visions' context. He convinced Horus that the Emperor's project was ascending himself to godhood,
True.
and that Horus should be the one in charge. Horus accepted this, and he found his body healed, but his soul now belonged to the gods of chaos.
So basically, when Horus fell, the Chaos Gods told him the truth. They told him 99.9% of the truth. They showed him visions of the future where the Imperium was a fucking wreck, where 9 of his brothers were venerated but not him, or some of his other brothers. They showed that religion had taken over. They showed his father being worshipped. They showed all this stuff, but at no point in this entire fucking thing did they say, by the way, this is because you're a fucktard.
From here, Horus just became progressively more of a douchebag, till his cock was literally dripping with warp jizz by the time the Emperor finally put him down. No list of traitors would be complete without the chief kitty fiddler himself, Lorgar. Lorgar was the first to fall, and actually had the most interesting fall out of all of them. Due to how Lorgar was, he had to believe in a higher power. Atheism just wasn't an option for him.
Truth.
Hence he chose to believe in the Big E as his god. The Big E wasn't a fan of this because he was an atheist, but he let it slide as long as Lorgar took over planets at a decent pace. Unfortunately, because Lorgar spent so long converting planets to religious worship of the Big E,
And
as well as the
Radiant
fact that no choir boy could go untouched, his rate of bringing planets into the Imperium was really slow. So the Emperor lost his shit, and he ordered Guilliman to blow up Lorgar's favourite city. The Big E then mind-raped Lorgar and all of his sons into kneeling. The Emperor wanted to make a point, that gods are cruel, and if the Big E was a god, this is what he'd actually do. Well, the point kinda got lost there, and instead Lorgar had a massive sook, and he went off to try find gods that were worthy of his worship. Hence he travelled through time and space, the warp.
Basically, what the Emperor did to Lorgar and his legion at Majorkill would have worked, if not for Erebus and Corferon.
And hell in a mighty pilgrimage, and by the end of it, he had made up his mind. Humanity was better off serving chaos. Now, whilst Lorgar had the best understanding of chaos out of his brothers, he was still very naive about it. He saw a golden age of man and demon merging to create super beings, and he actually managed to do it for a number of his sons. But demons don't really care about that, and they're just happy to wear humans as meat suits.
Truth.
All in all though, Lorgar's fall was the most justified and interesting. Unlike someone's fall, which was dumb as dog shit. Smelly fucking Mothman. And finally, the fall of... maybe falls
Lorgar's fall was not justified by any stretch of the imagination.
the wrong word. The Alfarius of
Well, I guess you could say that he was manipulated by Corferon and Erebus, but Angron's was the most justified in my opinion.
Alfarius. The Alpha Legion never really fell to chaos. It's complicated, and I've got a few videos to explain. But basically, Alfarius was approached by a bunch of arsehole Xenos called the Cabal. The Cabal were like, two futures. One, the traitors win, Big E dies, Imperium tears itself apart in a few years, humanity dies, and so does chaos. Future 2, Imperium wins, slowly dies over 10,000 years while chaos becomes more powerful. Chaos wins in the end. Alfarius believed that the Emperor sought the destruction of chaos above all else, so he chose to join the traitors, even though he did it with loyalist intentions. Yeah, the Alpha Legion are a bunch of cooked units. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Only $1 per month gives you access to a boatload of Warhammer hentai. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the real subscribe button for more traitorous content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Alright, so that was The Fall of Every Traitor Primarch by Majorkill. I agree with some of his things, like some people just don't see things the way I do, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I think Mortarion had one of the dumbest falls, period. Fulgrim annoys me. It really does. The fall was perfect. The last few lines of Book 3 of the Horus Heresy series are creepy as shit. And just, it messes with your head when you read it, and then you read the stuff that comes after it, and you're just like, oh, come on. It was a perfect storyline that I'm guessing that they, I don't know why they screwed it up. Because when I read that, I was just like, oh my god, this could be something incredible. But it wasn't. In any case, that's it for me today. I'll catch you guys next time.